Hey y'all, I'm April.
And I'm Caroline.
And this
is your Bloody Happy Hour.
Caroline, are you ready for this?
This is your newest guilty pleasure.
It's the bloodiest part of your week.
Did we say something about it also being happy hour?
Show did.
Because we're about to be sipping on some murder. Bloody Happy Hour.
Hey y'all, this is April.
This is Caroline.
It's this Bloody Happy Hour, Thirsty Thursday.
Thirsty Thursday, your favorite day of the week.
Hopefully so. We have some reviews to read, but first we want to shout out Southtown Supply Company. We talked about them on our Tuesday episode. If you haven't heard that, stop right here and go back and listen to Tuesday's episode. Caroline brought us some good news.
Good knowledge.
If you watch us on YouTube, me and Caroline have on the same hoodie, and it just says Waco on there. It's very vintage looking, and it's very comfortable. But most of all, these are made by high school kids. They're local Waco high school kids who are interested in different programs, and so they work with a nonprofit company called Triple Win with Rogue Media. And they have developed their own business, Caroline.
I love it.
Southtown Supply Company. They're on Instagram. Go and like them now. It's actually called Southtown Waco on Instagram. But these candles right here, they come in mason jars. They burn perfectly and evenly. I've been burning them in the evening at home. You check out these, what are these called?
Coasters.
They are real wood. Sanded perfectly, stained perfectly with their logo. This cutting board.
Oh,
this one's a pretty walnut flavor. Walnut, what is this?
Can you
stain?
eat cutting board?
Walnut stain. They make those T-shirts and a ton of other things. So we're going to be just highlighting some of their expertise. And if you're interested in purchasing any of these, this hoodie, some cutting boards, some candles, some coasters. There's even cool little chalkboards that they make that we'll have another episode. You can go to their Instagram and you can message them, or you can email Mike at roadmedianetwork.com and support these kids that are already working on their trade for after high school.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's pretty good stuff.
Really good. I was not doing this in high school at all. I was doing other things.
No, I was busy.
A little busy. Okay. Caroline, let's read some reviews.
Okay.
It's been a little bit.
It has.
So, this is just titled Great Podcast. It's from Josefa Hernandez. Josafa. I'm thinking that's Josefa Hernandez. And it says, listening on the way back to home. Shout out to Matt Dixon for putting me on. Yay. Matt Dixon, #1 fan. Brought us a new fan. Thank you, Matt. And thank you, Josefa Hernandez.
Okay, I love it. This one's called Love, and it's by Undrawer.
Oh.
Okay. I listen to a lot of true crime podcasts on a regular basis, and this is my new favorite. One of my new favorites. Y'all are funny. I especially love Caroline's tangents. Those things. I particularly enjoy the local stories because I can picture the places in Waco and DFW as you talk about them. Keep doing your thing. I look forward to listening to each week. Love y'all.
Thank you, Undrawer.
Undrawer.
This is from Ratchet Robin.
Oh, gosh.
It's titled, Karen's Pissing Me Off. These other listeners need to settle down. Your side stories are what make your podcast hilarious. As long as they're not super long, keep them in. Also, since they pointed out how much you say like, Caroline, I'm more away and you say it a lot, which never bothered me before Karen pointed it out. Karen being your mom, remember?
Yes. Yes.
But now it does. So anyways, y'all rock just the way God made you. Keep doing you, boos. Robin, this is Robin who knows all things cows and horses. We said something about her.
I know, but I don't remember saying like all the time. And you know what? I'm going to say it more just for this episode. This one is 2 hearts, and it's by Ansel56. I don't know. I listen to a lot of podcasts and just love April and Caroline's Bloody Happy Hour podcast the most.
Thank you, Ansel. This is from Nick Schwab. Nick Schwab.
Nick Schwab. Oh.
Ladies, please.
Oh.
3-star. Did I miss this one?
I think this is new. we didn't look at this one.
Aside from not always having smaller facts, basic facts correct, there's also the need to talk over or interrupt each other. Mostly Caroline, I believe. Definitely takes away from the flow of the story and gets annoying after a couple episodes. Nick Schwab. Caroline's real ADHD.
Nick Schwab. I understand. When I listen to people, I don't want them interrupting. But sometimes I do. So, I mean, it is what it is.
I did not see that at all. Okay, and then
But thank you for your review.
Yes.
Keep
we
them
will
coming.
take that and fix it.
But what is it saying? That I interrupt while you're telling the story, or you interrupt while I'm telling the story?
It's saying that we overtalk and interrupt. Mostly Caroline, I believe.
I'm the interrupter.
Yes.
Okay.
Go. Last one.
Oh, there's another one?
Yes.
Oh, gosh. Oh, this one's called I'm Loving... J-Tal?
Yes.
I'm loving it. J-Tal 70. I listen to podcasts on the treadmill at 5 a.m. I anxiously await Tuesdays and Thursdays to listen to the latest episode. Nothing like starting the day with a little murder. April and Caroline always keep it entertaining and interesting. I love the dirty Chad side stories and the clinking of the ice. Keep it up, ladies.
Thank you, J-Tal. All right. So,
Keep them coming.
Yes, we're caught up. And you can send us the good and the bad. Because we've really tried to work on all the ones that, all the opportunities.
Yeah. No, it's great.
Okay. So, we're going to Mississippi.
Okay. Let me take off my sweatshirt 'cause my ears are getting red.
Do you remember being young and saying, M-I, crooked letter, I, crooked letter, I, humpback, I?
No.
When learning how to spell Mississippi?
No, never. I've never heard that ever.
Never?
No. Crooked letter?
Is it S? M-I, crooked letter, I, crooked letter, I, humpback, I. The humpback is a P.
That's way too much of a song to try to spell a word.
Obviously, my childhood, I learned a lot of songs when learning things.
I know. I didn't
New
get
Testament. Okay, so we're going to Mississippi.
I got a monkey on my screen. I don't know. Okay.
In a town called Courtland. So this story was suggested by my brother's now fiance. She is from Mississippi and near this area. So this was a big murder in their town.
Okay.
So we're going to talk about the disturbing murder of Jessica Chambers.
Oh,
yes.
Bro, this is bad.
This has been on my list for a while.
This is a good one.
And I was going to do a whole nother story earlier this week, and then we didn't record, so then I switched it up last minute. It's the worst.
I know. The struggle is real.
But the story needed to be told. So this town, Courtland, Mississippi, is a very small town. Population is like 500, and everybody in this town knows everybody. Mm-hmm. Jessica Chambers is 19 years old at this time. We're going to 2014. Her parents are Ben and Lisa Chambers. They were divorced at a young age, but they co-parented very well. They lived only a couple houses down from each other. They would have family dinners all the time. Like, it was the best situation for divorced parents, right, for Jessica. In high school, she was a popular girl. She was a cheerleader. She was well-liked. She was going to become a nurse. And that was her dream because she wanted to help people. But on Saturday, December 6, 2014, she would never get the opportunity to make her dream come true of becoming a nurse. Because of what I'm about to tell you right now. It's December 6, 2014. It's 8 p.m. and two men were driving down a dark road. And this road is Heron Road, I believe it was pronounced. And they just happened to see a car engulfed in flames on the side of the road, on fire. And of course they call 911. What do I mean, that's all you can do. You call 911.
I mean,
would stick
yeah.
around. Not
Oh, yeah.
everybody has a fire extinguisher in their truck.
No.
Sweet Pea does, so he would be able to put
Oh,
it out.
I would call. What else are you supposed to do?
They
Go
call 911.
find a water bucket? That's not going to help.
No, it's not. The firefighters come, and they look in the car, and there's nobody in the car. But when they look up, they see what looks like a zombie on flames walking to them with their hands out. And they're all just like stumped and shocked for a minute. And then they soon realize it's a young woman because they see burned blonde fringed hair. So it's not a zombie, it's a young girl. And she had been burned. Her skin was melting away. Her hair was burned. She had nothing on but her underwear. And she could barely speak. But she was able to whisper her name. She said Jessica Tabers. But they soon realized it was Jessica Chambers. And remember, this is a small town, so everybody knows everybody. So then Jessica said, "He set me on fire. He did it." So the firefighter later says
Who?
Yeah, he was like, "Who did this to you, baby girl? Who did this to you?" And some of the firefighters, and there's a lot of them there, distinctly hear Eric or Derek. Okay? But others were not sure what she said. So that's going to kind of come back and forth throughout the story. Cole is one of the firefighters, and he knew her well. And him and a lot of the other firefighters had PTSD after this because it was the worst thing. Did I say it right? PTSD after this. Worst thing that they've seen. Plus, they knew her. Some of them could not. They quit after that. They could not be a firefighter again. He got a blanket and took off his own jacket to cover her up because she was so exposed. And he was like, I wanted to preserve whatever dignity that she had left. He is one that said that he did not hear a Derek or Eric. He heard her asking for water, but they couldn't give her water.
No, you can't.
She had deep thermal burns. And they could tell a flammable liquid had been poured down her throat and up her nose. So it's like, did somebody hold her down and pour the liquid on her? Was it like a torture type thing? Those are the things I was thinking
awful.
about. Oh, it's awful.
Okay.
So over 90% of her body was burned. So of course they rushed her to the hospital, right? Over 90% of her body was burned, and there was no coming from back from this. She was in excruciating pain. The police call the dad because the dad is actually a mechanic for the sheriff department there. And stepmom runs down to mom's house, bangs on the door, and says, Jessica has been burned. And
she'd been blown up.
She had been a lot more than burned. She'd been literally set on fire and blown up. So when they get there, the doctors tell her there's nothing they can do but make her comfortable. So Jessica stuck around long enough to say goodbye. Her dad was able to say goodbye to her cousins, her stepmom. And then when her mom went in there, her mom saw her and told her, this will put a lump in your throat. If you're in too much pain, it's okay to let go. It's okay. I will get you justice, is what her mom told her. And then Jessica took her last breath at 2:37 a.m. that morning.
Oh, my gosh. I can't.
And it was her mom later said it was waiting she was waiting for her mom to get there.
Yeah.
Until it was okay.
Oh, my God. That's so.
I know. 19 years old. So later that day, a man was walking down the Heron Road. And it was about 1/8 of a mile from where the car was, which it's a small town.
Mm-hmm.
People know where the car was. You could probably still see the flames there. He found a set of car keys. And he was like, I wonder if these belonged to Jessica Chambers' car. Yeah. So he took those to the police department. And I will tell you that this story's not going to piss you off. Like the police department, you know, a lot of times we'll do these stories, especially small town, and they like act like they've had no training. They are DTF.
Yeah.
Down to find in this one. So they take these keys and they immediately send them off for DNA samples. And when they're cleaning up the crime scene, they find her phone. It was kind of under the car, like it maybe fallen out and not inside of the car, but it was still very, very hot and burned, but just not totally ruined. They got a search warrant for her phone records, but I guess search warrants are really sketchy to where they were only granted records for 24 hours before her death instead of like going back further. Real weird. I know.
I don't know.
And they were only able to get phone numbers, and they were only able to or like the name, so they weren't really able to
get like text messages and stuff.
They find a message from her friend Keisha, and Keisha's her best friend, and Keisha says that Jessica picked her up at 10:30, and Jessica, and a guy named Quinton Tellis were in the car. They went to go smoke. They stopped at the store, the M&M store, which is like the only store there. So it's like a hangout too. People go there to meet. They go there to get gas. They go there to get their snacks. And they drove around for about an hour, probably smoking, right? And then she dropped them back off. And they stopped at the store one more time. She dropped them back off, and then Jessica came home, okay? So cameras checked out their story. 3 of them were there, and that was really it. Like, they didn't really ask Keisha any more questions at that time. They questioned Quinton, and Quinton said the same thing. Quinton did have a record, but it was no violent crimes. It was like a burglary. So they were like, okay, you know, we'll just keep this over here in our back pocket.
Yeah.
Her phone GPS showed that about 5 in the evening, her phone record showed that she got a phone call at 5 in the evening. And her mom said that she was at home. She had woke up from a nap. She told her mom that she was going to go get something to eat and then go wash her car, and that she'll be back. So she went to a town called Batesville, which is like 5 minutes down the road. She was back in Courtland by 6:30. At 6:48, she called her mom, and her mom said that this was a different phone call. Her mom said that usually there's like music in the background or like people talking. It was just real quiet and real short. And that was the last phone call she would make
from her phone.
Yeah, from her phone. At 7:30, her phone picked up at Heron Road, and the signal went away at 8:04 p.m. because they think that the fire got to the phone, and so it lost its signal. And then the 911 caller phone call came in.
Yeah.
So they heard the story of the Derek and Eric. And so this sheriff department, they're DTF. And they're like, we're going to interview every Eric and every Derek.
Every one of them.
In Courtland and surrounding cities, anywhere near, anybody that's in their phone. And they're like, we're going to cross-check their cell phone locations with Jessica's locations on the day to to see if there are any similarities. And
bad day to be named Derek or Eric.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine? Now, Jessica Chambers is this pretty blonde hair, blue-eyed girl.
Yeah, she's super cute.
And so the town knew her, and so they were really looking into her. And I have one source that says by this time the FBI, the ATF, and the U.S. Marshals were working on this with the sheriff department on this case. So maybe that's why they were so efficient. They had so much help as well. So nothing came of the Derek and Eric searches. Like, there was nothing questionable. None of their locations were with Jessica at the time. And so they were like, let's just go back to the cell phone. There has to be something on the cell phone. So they get a better search warrant, and now they're able to see the messages. So before they were only able to see phone numbers so they could find who, but they weren't able to see text messages. And they found one text that came into Jessica's phone just minutes before the 911 call. And the text said, "Can't hang out tonight. I got a friend coming home. Sweet dreams, Bay." This text message is from Quinton Tellis, who was the one that was in the car
when they went to the
weed.
M&M store.
Yeah, when they went to M&M store. So they had already interviewed him, but he had never mentioning that they were going to have plans that night, right? Because if me and you have plans and you die, the police question me, I would be like, we were supposed to have drinks.
Yeah.
But I had to cancel because of whatever, right? I would put that in there, I would think. And so they go and they re-interview Quinton because Quinton didn't really tell them anything. And he revealed that they did have a different relationship because the word "bae" was in there. So they were like, "What is your relationship with Jessica? Why aren't you telling us?" And he was like, "Well,
and this guy did he go to school?
Where?
Did they go to school together? Or,
no.
Well, he was just.
I think he's from Louisiana, actually.
So he was just in town?
No,
he was living there. Okay.
Yeah.
And he said what?
So he said, he revealed that they had slept together one time in her car, and they asked him to describe what happened and where they were, and they said that they were at his mom's house, and his mom lives right across the street from the M&M store. They were parked in her driveway, and that they had laid the seat down, and that's where they had sex. One of the.
Do they need to, like, a visual of it?
Yeah.
Okay.
They asked a visual. They wanted to be.
They need all the details?
Yes.
Okay.
And now a word from our sponsors.
"911, what's your emergency?"
Do you hear that? It's coming from the house.
It's coming from inside the house? Do you mean? Could it be?
The Poltergeist. New from Rogue Media. Two haunted hotties talking about haunted places. Every episode, we dive deep into the darkest places and give you a bit of history.
We're getting spooky in all the right places.
You've gobbled your last ghoul.
Follow along for the craziest and spookiest stories with Debbie's Dark Tourism. The Stanley Hotel,
Winchester House,
The Alamo,
Hotel Monte Vista,
and more spooky places. Find us at _Poltergals. POLTERGALS.
Look over your shoulder. It's us,
The Poltergals. Wherever you consume the podcast, you can find us there.
What are we doing here, Rusty? What are we gonna do?
Yep, we're doing the King of the Hill Rewatch Podcast.
King of the Hill
Yes, sir.
Rewatch Podcast. Yeah, so we're gonna go through one episode at a time. Come along for the ride with us,
Come check it out.
and give me a good like Dale Gribble quote to go out on. Wingo.
Yeah, Wingo.
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 All right. Well, join us for the King of the Hill Rewatch Podcast.
Deep in the heart of Texas, that drinks his brew and he spits his chew. Deep in the heart of Texas, the TV blares but no one cares. Deep in the heart of Texas, here we go.
Welcome to One Star Rewind, a new podcast about those dreaded one-star reviews that every business owner hates to receive, but yet every customer loves to read. During this podcast, we will peel back that one-star review to better understand how it happened, when it happened, and what the business owner is doing after receiving that 1-star review. This podcast will be about love, hate, and laughter. On 1-Star Rewind, we will meet with real business owners who will tell their stories and how they do rely on reviews for their business. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, or download us at roguemedianetwork.com. Please subscribe, but only rate and review for not a 1-star review. Join us each time for a new review and a new story.
So, then they were like, okay, well, what did you do after you and Jessica got high and she dropped you off that day? And so Quinton's story was, well, I hung out with friends and I went to my sister's house. I drove to Batesville, which Jessica was in Batesville at some point that day too. And I went to Fred's Dollar Store because I needed to get a green dot card, which is like, if you don't have a credit card, yeah, like a money card. Green dot card because his girlfriend was coming to visit him and he was buying her a bus ticket with that green dot card. So he took his sister's truck back, and then he said he came back to Courtland, went by the M&M store, and then went home and waited for his girlfriend to come visit him in town.
He's not cute.
He is not cute. He's very ugly. So they checked out his story, and it was right. He was at Fred's Dollar Store at 8:15 p.m. after the 911 car. He was also on camera at the M&M store, and they also saw him in his sister's truck at his mom's house or whatever.
Okay, so he's speaking the truth.
So then they move on. And they were like, well, Quinton, do you know of anybody named Derek or Eric that, might know?
Oh, my cousin Derek Eric.
That might have known Jessica? And Quinton was like, yeah, I know Derek Holmes. They had beef, actually. And so they were like, oh, Derek? Okay. They looked at Derek's record, and Derek was a sex offender.
Oh, hell. Here we go.
So they went and they talked to Derek, and they were like, where were you on December 6th? And Derek was like, I was at home with my mama. I was massaging her feet. No lie.
Okay.
That's what I do every evening.
Okay,
at
dirty
so-and-so.
Chad.
My mom is diabetic, and I have to massage her feet every night because of swelling and all this other stuff or whatever. Okay. So
that's a little odd.
They crossed his cell phone records, and they talked to his mom, and the alibi stuff.
Oh. She was like, oh, yeah, he was rubbing my feet
at this time. And so cell phone records also placed him at his mom's house. So now it's like a year later. Nothing has happened. They have no suspects. What's his name? Quinton has moved off, and he is now in Louisiana. And the community is pissed, right? They have armchair investigators because this is 2014. So
the sleuths are out.
Sleuths are out.
Web sleuths probably is where
they're throwing out all their scenarios, and there's a $54,000 reward for her death. So people are trying to solve this, right? One scenario is her ex-boyfriend Travis, who is a black guy. So she dated black guys.
She was like Courtney Clenny. She was only dating the black guys.
Only, maybe. I just know that Travis, her ex, was black. And so they were like, Travis is a little sketch. It might have been Travis, right? Well, police had already ruled out Travis.
Travis doesn't sound like Derek or Eric.
Nope. Police ruled out Travis. He was actually in jail at the time of the murder for burglary.
Oh,
but
Jessica.
They were like, well, she was fooling around with other guys. Maybe he hired somebody to murder her, like a murder for hire type thing, which they're giving him a lot of credit. And this is real stretch, stretching it. And there was not even phone calls to her or anybody that would have done anything like that. So Travis was ruled out. They also blamed Dad because Dad was a mechanic at the sheriff's department before, but he did prison time for meth. He had
her dad,
her biological dad. Okay. And so they were like, Dad might have had something to do with it. Maybe he got back in the meth gang.
Maybe Dad's name is Derek or Eric.
Dad's name is Ben.
Speaking of Dad, we got 2 days for the Casey Anthony.
Oh, okay. Oh,
I was
so
wrong
she's
last
blaming
time.
her dad.
Yeah. That's dumb bitch.
Mm-hmm. Okay. They also said maybe a bad drug deal or maybe a jealous best friend, like maybe Keisha snapped on her. But, Jessica was a bad drug deal because Jessica was obviously a weed smoker. And they were saying that this time of her life was kind of a rough time in her life. Her brother had just got killed in a car accident. Her dad had did some time
For meth.
yeah. And she was hanging around not a great crowd. And that some people say that she was selling drugs.
Oh, okay. I remember this.
Yeah. So she wasn't a gang member. She
But
wasn't a total saint. She was being a teenager
Right.
that was dealing with some things right now. She was 19 years old.
Yeah.
She didn't get time to even change her life around.
I mean,
I also
Yeah.
said she could hang around some shady people and kind of be a smart mouth and just wouldn't put up with things. But
Yeah.
I'm like, she sounds like a badass to me. Like she got burnt up.
she got
And
exploded.
then she tried to name her captor, and then she lived long enough for her family to be able to come and say their goodbyes.
I don't.
She was a badass.
I can't imagine being on fire, walking around on fire.
Yeah.
Like a fireball.
Like she was a fireball.
You literally
She was
a walking fireball.
yeah, zombie fireball.
I'll be like,
naked.
just explode me. I don't want to be a walking fireball zombie.
So
She's
the police now, they're like, ugh, we need to go back to the cell phone records. There has to be something there. So they get with this techie guy, right?
yeah.
And this technical analysis, and they cross the cell phone records, GPS cell phone records, with not just all the Dereks and Erics, because they're like, let's not limit ourselves with Dereks or Erics.
I mean,
Maybe she did say that because it's 50-50. Some people are like, she said Derek and Eric. Some people are like, no, I didn't hear that at all.
because was her face?
Burned up. And so
Yeah, because
later
like
we'll
you
find
can't
out.
speak really
and
well.
she had flammable liquid down her throat. So her throat was burned. Her mouth was burned. Her tongue could have been burned. So
Yeah, like just think about if you go to the dentist and get
yeah.
you
can't
numb,
you
you can't move, you can't talk.
So they're not going to put
So-
all their eggs in one basket. Yay for this police department. And so they're like, we're going to cross-check GPS data with everybody that is in this investigation.
All
so far.
500 people in the town.
No, not all 500, but anybody whose names come up. So with parents, with Quinton, with Keisha, with the Dereks and Erics, and with anybody else that they questioned,
Yeah.
right? So they do that. And in October 2016, so this is 2 years later, they find that there was one person in Batesville, that's the town that's 5 minutes away, at the same time as Jessica. They got there at the same time. They were driving on the same road, getting up there and coming back. They left at the same time. So they were basically like the cell phone. Cell phone was like this.
Oh.
So they were either following each other or in the same car, right?
Oh.
Guess who this person is?
Derek or Eric?
Quinton Tellis.
Oh, wow. I had no idea.
Remember, he said that after they got high, she dropped him off.
Yeah, he's at the
She
house.
dropped him off and like he did his own thing, right? So he lied because
Here we go.
Cell phone data don't lie. So they go and they're like, let's go find Quinton Tellis, and they figure out that he is in Monroe, Louisiana, in jail for 2 charges.
What?
Charge
Okay, and this
one,
is 2 years later, so he had gone back to Louisiana.
He had gone back to Louisiana. He had gotten married. He was living with a woman.
He tried to just do everything.
He's trying
make
to
him
live his
look
life.
innocent.
He had stole a credit card from a girl named Ming Ching Sao. She was a foreign exchange student
Stop Asian hate.
at ULM, University of Louisiana, Monroe. Yeah. And
What was her name?
Ming Chen Sao.
Oh, okay.
He withdrew $2,000 from her credit card, but the other charge was for the murder of Ming Chen Sao. She was found stabbed in her apartment 30 plus times and tortured
Oh,
on
gosh.
August 8th in 2016. This was also his wedding day. I was trying to find out if I was trying to find out if he got arrested at his wedding, but I don't think he did. So he was in jail because he pleaded guilty to the credit card abuse because they had found evidence on him that he had the damn receipts from Ming Chen's credit card. And he was on camera at Walmart with Ming Chen picking up some prescriptions for pain pills.
Pain pills?
Yeah. So he had a friend named Eric. I know. Eric, who came to the police department and told the police department that Quinton confessed to slicing and dicing Ming Chen until she gave up her PIN number to her credit card. Then he left her there, and that's how he got the PIN to withdraw $2,000 from and use the credit card or whatever. So here's an Eric. This is the first Eric we've really talked to.
Yeah.
But there's no light bulb with the police like, oh, could you be the Eric that? Because they've really already ruled him out.
Yeah.
So, okay. So, though that's a coincidence, as for what we know now, this Eric has nothing to do with Jessica.
Right.
So they go to the jail and they question him about Jessica. And they were like, can you tell us again? We're just re-interviewing everybody. What did you do with Jessica on that day? And so he was like, we went and got high. We went to the store. She dropped me off. And they were like, oh, really? Because we're calling your bullshit because we have your GPS data right here. Y'all were in Batesville together. Y'all were here together. Y'all were there together. And so he was like, oh, yeah, we did go to the Taco Bell.
Oh,
and she ordered her Nacho Bel Grande. Like, he even remembered what she ordered. And we got some food. But I didn't leave with her. My friend Big Mike came. And I left with Big Mike. And me and Big Mike hung out the rest of the night.
But you left your phone in the car, and that's why?
Well, he's saying that he was in Batesville with her and they left at the same time, but he didn't live with her.
Mm-hmm.
He left with Big Mike. So maybe they were just on the same highway at the same time.
Yeah, maybe.
But you can't tell with the GPS data if they're in the same spots.
Yeah.
You can just tell they're in the same area. So I rode home with Big Mike, and me and Mike hung out, right?
Okay. Let's talk to Big Mike.
Let's go to Big Mike's house.
Come on.
Big Mike. So, Quinton tells us this. And so Big Mike was like, no, bruh. I was actually at the New York Giants and Tennessee Titans game. I knew it.
Oh, I
Tennessee Titans game all day, all night. And I'd spent the night in Nashville, Tennessee. So there's my alibi. And they checked it all out. And so Big Mike was at a Tennessee Titans game.
Oh, so you wasn't with Big Mike?
Yep. So then they go back to Quinton, and they were like, Quinton, bro, you lied again.
Not even a good lie.
Not even a good lie. You didn't even call Big Mike and tell Big Mike to lie for you. So now Quinton was like, oh, damn, I forgot.
It wasn't Big Mike.
I was with Jessica, and we did go to Batesville together, and I did live with her house. I did live with her that day.
No.
Which one part of me is like, he's a black guy with a record. Here's this blonde girl. They're going to find out what happened to this blonde girl. So part of me is like, he is lying. The other part of me is like, would I forget? Like, oh, I left with so-and-so this time, or I left with so-and-so this time. Like, is he a liar? Or is he forgetting? I think he's forgetting. I mean, I think he's lying. I think you would forget who you left with or what day you were there.
Well, if I wasn't involved in something, yeah, I wouldn't know. But if it
Yeah.
was like something like the person who I'm connected to is just exploded in a car
Yeah.
and walked like a zombie, I would obviously remember.
You'd remember your whole day just in case you got questioned.
Oh, for sure. I'd have to write that shit out. But yeah, typically I'm not going to remember like 3 years ago what I was doing on January 8th at 9 p.m.
Yes.
Like, what?
That's scary. I used to actually put everything in my calendar because I was scared that somebody would ask me where was I and who was I with. Like I used to journal, like not journal, but put everything in my calendar in case I needed an alibi because I know I wouldn't remember. I'm not as good with that right now. Quinton is like, oh yeah, I forgot. I was with Jessica. We went to Batesville and then we went back to my house and we were in the driveway and we hung out in the driveway and we just talked and we listened to music and she left about 7:00. So the police, remember he lives across the street from the M&M store. So the M&M camera points right at his house.
Oh.
So they're like, actually, she did not leave your house at 7:00. She didn't leave until after 7:30. And so you're lying again. And so he was like, oh, okay, well, whatever. I don't know. I don't know the exact times. I just know we hung out in my car. We talked. We listened to music or whatever, right? As they go through the footage of that whole day, they notice that Quinton changed his clothes 3 times that day. They saw what he was wearing at his house. They saw what he was wearing in the M&M store. And I think another time they saw him and it was, at Fred's Dollar Store, he was wearing something different.
Why are you changing all the time?
So part of me is like, if he's getting high, then maybe he's taking showers and changing. The other part of me is like, what is he covering up?
Mm-hmm.
And this is how the court case.
Well, yeah,
right?
and I want to know,
yeah,
like,
both
does he
sides.
do this every day? Change every day?
Yeah.
3 times
Is
a
this
day?
a normal type thing? So within 30 minutes of Jessica leaving Quinton, she's dead. Burned alive. And according to cell phone records, she did not come into contact with anybody else. She was found burned alive 2 miles from his house down Heron Road, right? So they were like, he's a liar. He's good for this. Let's get these keys, take his DNA and get these keys. Remember that they found on the side of the road, got DNA, and the DNA matches. So he's the daddy. You the daddy, Quinton.
You the
Your
daddy.
DNA matches. So they get a search warrant for his phone, and they see that just an hour after Jessica was killed, he deleted, which I don't know how you can see this, every message that him and Jessica corresponded. Every
Sounds a
text
little
message
suspicious.
and the contact. So your friend just died and you delete the contact and the messages?
That's...
No. I still have messages from people that I've lost.
Oh,
you
yeah,
wanna
I
go
don't
back
know
and
who's in
read
my
them.
phone.
And then if they die, I'm not just going to go delete them.
Oh, you're dead. Let me delete your contact. Like,
I don't
who
need
thinks
this
of that?
anymore.
Yeah.
I don't need this anymore.
maybe he was just really organized. Maybe he didn't like clutter.
Maybe it's type A. So they get a search for, so they find out that he's deleting all that stuff, right? But they also see that every text message that he sent to Jessica was very sexual.
Dick pics.
I'm horny.
Oh.
What are you going to do about it?
Wow.
Trying
So
to sleep
sexual.
with her, and she would turn him down or distract him or something, like
Yeah.
she wouldn't engage in it. The only one that was even remotely respectful was that last one that I read at the beginning about
with Bay.
Yeah, Bay in it. Sorry, we can't hang out, Bay. So he was charged for her murder.
Okay.
And he went to trial in October of 2017. Say yay.
Yay. Pew, 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 pew.
So at this trial, you probably should have watched this.
I know. I didn't start watching trials till like last year.
So after this trial, they brought out all his lies. Like how many times they had to go and re-interview him because they caught him in lies, right?
Yeah,
They
but you
also-
know what? If you're a liar, doesn't mean you're a murderer.
Doesn't mean you're a murderer. And they also had their scenario of what they thought happened.
Ooh, what'd they think?
So they took those messages and was like, he obviously wanted to sleep with her and she obviously didn't.
Turned him down.
We think, because we can put them two together in her car in his driveway, pulled up close, to the shed, like to the back of the house, that he actually assaulted her in the driveway and got carried away, choked or strangled her to kill her. And he thought that he killed her, but he actually didn't kill her. So then he's preservation mode, right? Like he's got to dispose of her.
Yeah.
So he drives her car to Heron Road, where it was found on fire. Oh, my nose is itching. Where it was found on fire. And leaves the car there. Takes off because his sister is close to Heron's Road. Takes off. When he's taken off, he runs to his sister's house, right? And he throws the keys on the side of the road somewhere. And that's how the keys are found on the side of the road. Goes to his sister's house, gets his sister's truck.
Why would he throw his keys?
Her key, because they're keys to her car.
Yeah. Okay.
I guess he doesn't have a car because he's driving everybody else's car.
I mean, like,
so she's dead.
Yeah.
She's supposedly dead. He throws the keys on the side of the road, parks the car, throws the key. She's dead in the car. He's going to his sister, and he gets his sister's truck. Okay. Then you see him and his sister's truck pulling up at his house across from the M&M store because it's on video.
Oh, yeah.
Pulls all the way back to the shed. Well, they've searched the shed, and in the shed, he has a lot of gas containers.
Oh, what do you do?
But he
with
also
gas?
has a bunch of dirt bikes and like four-wheelers, so you need gas. So this is like coming out in court, right?
Mm-hmm.
He has access to gas, so they're saying that he's getting this gas and that he goes back to the car, pours the gas all over her, which the seat in the car was laid back, how he described that one time when they had sex.
Oh, yeah.
So she's laid back in the seat. He pours it on her.
At this time, she's just passed out, even though he thinks he killed her.
She's dead, yeah. He thinks she's dead.
She's probably just unconscious, I guess.
Unconscious, right? Well, he sends a text to her phone.
Yeah.
From his phone. And I guess that was his like way of proving that he was not going to be with her.
Yeah.
Throwing off the police or whatever. So then he lights the car and her on fire, drives to Batesville, because remember, he's on camera at Fred's Dollar Store at 8:15 p.m. getting the green dot card.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm. This was his way of being on camera and having an alibi, but Batesville's 5 minutes down the road, so it could still be done.
Yeah.
Set her on fire, do all of this in the amount of time, and still be good for it. So then he takes his sister's truck back and then goes home. That is what the prosecution, that's the story that they said. But they didn't realize that she was not alive. So they think when she felt the fire, she got out of the car and took off running. But she was running towards the woods and not towards the street or anywhere. Probably because she couldn't see. She was on fire.
Yeah.
And okay, so that's the story, right? Mm-hmm. So the defense is in trial, and they're like, why are we even here? She named her killer. Her killer is Derek or Eric. This is Quinton. You can hold your tongue. You can cut your tongue off. Quinton will never sound like Derek. Quinton will never sound like Eric. Why are we here?
Oh, shit.
Prosecution brought up a doctor, a burn professional doctor, whatever that's called. And he was like, there's no way she could speak intelligibly, appropriately, with the wounds and the burns and the trauma that she had gone through, plus the trauma down her throat. So she could not have, It might have sounded like Derek, but she very well could have been saying something else.
Yeah, like Quinton.
Or they were saying like Tellis. She could have tried to say Tellis, but couldn't say the T. So and maybe they heard Eric, because that's Quinton's last name is Tellis.
Oh.
Either way.
I thought you meant Tella. Like, okay.
Quinton Tellis was his last
Yeah.
name. So they try to bring somebody on the stand to try to like get that reasonable doubt out of people's minds.
Mm-hmm.
But what got me on this part is they knew that she said Jessica Chambers. They knew that she said he set me on fire. He did it. They knew that she said, I want water. I'm thirsty. I want water. Right?
Yeah.
All that they heard. So you just misheard Derek or Eric? I don't know. So that's the only thing. That's the only thing that would make me have a reasonable doubt if I was in the jury. And obviously other people in the jury thought so too.
Oh, no.
Because they went and deliberated, and I tried to find out for how long they deliberated. But when they came back, they find him not guilty of capital murder. But first, the judge is like, has everybody made a unanimous decision? And the foreman was like, yes. Okay. And he goes, okay. And some random juror was like, I didn't. Oh, I don't agree. And so the judge was like, wait, what do you mean? He goes, I don't think he's not guilty. I think he's guilty. So the judge was like, go back into the chambers and
blown up.
Everybody, do you know the definition of unanimous? Unanimous to me, like they did not understand the rules.
Oh,
is what they later
jury
said.
Instructions.
Yes, even though they're said over and over and over and over and over, they did not understand. I guess they thought it was like majority wins. I don't know. So they go back and they deliberate for another hour and a half, and they're deadlocked. And they come back, and the trial was hung jury.
Oh, hell. That's
Deadlocked.
the worst.
That's the worst. Granted a mistrial. They go back to trial September of 2018. Deadlocked again. So luckily, Quinton's in jail still in Louisiana for the credit card thing.
Ming Sung.
Yep. But he's also waiting trial for the murder of Ming Chen.
Yeah.
And there could possibly be a third trial for the Jessica Chambers. Possibly.
Don't get me all excited.
Yeah. So on October 22nd, 2022, so just the other day, he was supposed to stand trial for Ming Chen. But that witness, Eric, who came and said that Quinton confessed, he is now saying that the police coerced him and bribed him to say that. So now there's no evidence that he was there for the murder, that he was just has the credit card, and he may not go on trial for Ming Chen's murder. And as of right now, so on November 2nd, the indictment for the murder was dismissed. And I don't know if that means dismissed indefinitely for Ming Chen, or if that is like until we're not going to do anything until he serves his full sentence for the credit card abuse, which is like 10 or 15 years. So as of right now, the prosecution for the Jessica Chambers has not set a new trial date, and they have not said whether they are going to go back to court for the third time to get her justice.
I'm going to need them to come up with some new evidence.
We need some new evidence, yeah. Because it'll be the same thing.
Yeah. Like you gotta have some new evidence.
They even took the trial, I think it was like 4 or 5 hours outside of
to get the
town.
Prejudice or whatever.
Yeah. And then I believe it was a year and a half ago, Jessica Chambers' mom died. So she will not be here if there is a third trial, even though she promised justice.
Oh,
Isn't
the
that
worst.
That is the worst.
OMG. I wasn't sure if there was an update. I've heard this story a long, long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew this girl got burned on fire and she was walking and it was awful.
It was awful.
Awful, awful, awful.
So there's a couple documentaries that one's called Burned Alive. I think that's on Investigation Discovery. And then there's the disappearance. It's a 5-part. No,
Yeah,
Unspeakable Crimes, the killing of Jessica Chambers. There's a podcast on it. And Oxygen did a podcast on it. And then Oxygen did a actual documentary, 5 parts. And it's so much more information, but I try to get all the good stuff and wrap it up in a nice little bow and under an hour for you guys. So
Yes.
Mississippi people, I hope I did your big time, one of your major murders in your towns, some justice.
Terrible.
It is terrible.
Speaking of a new trial,
Okay. Oh,
you
Austin?
know, Austin Harif, I just saw, and I sent it to you, is going to trial. Starting this week, I believe. It's what, Monday? And that's the guy who you did the story on. It
the
was
college cannibal.
College Cannibal, I think episode like 63 or something. I posted it.
Where he thought he was a dog.
Yes,
He ate
he
the neighbor.
drank the bleach or whatever, and like went crazy out of I don't know. Opening statements start on Monday morning. That's
Oh my goodness.
But
there's no jury.
4 days ago.
So it's basically the judge is going to make the ruling. Is that what happens when there's no jury?
I don't know. It says bench trial, no jury. I don't know what that means.
Well, you should be the pro.
I should be. I've never watched a bench trial, so
I
this
don't
will
know
be my
what to
first.
think about that. Like, I think it's a sad story either way. Like, he's either going to be in jail, which I don't know if that's his appropriate place. I do think he should probably be in a mental institution.
I know.
It's just so sad that.
It is real sad.
Oh, it's just sad. I think it's also sad that Quinton Tellis could be free when his sentence is up if we don't go back to trial for Jessica Chambers and if they don't try for Ming Chin. He could go free.
Wait, do you think he did it?
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. And the fact that they couldn't, there's not one other good suspect. And you'd have to like have a real crazy scenario to think he
do
didn't
that.
Do it. Now, could he have had help?
Yeah.
They did say that his sister, whose truck he got, has a tattoo of Derek on her arm. So who's Derek? Then he has that friend named Eric. And so could there be a possibility that somebody else helped him? Maybe.
Why didn't she just say Quentin?
What if it wasn't Quentin? I don't know.
Oh.
And that's what people are saying. If she could say Derek and Eric, if she could say I'm thirsty, if she could say water,
I know.
why didn't she say Quentin did this to me?
I don't know. I know. I don't know what I would say, guilty or not guilty. I'd have to hear all this stuff.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, y'all. Woo! That is it.
That was a good one. Good stuff.
Good stuff. We will see y'all next week for another story.
Keep updated. We're gonna
Oh, and it's gonna be December.
Oh my gosh, is it November 27th? It is.
Yeah, it's gonna be December by the time we do our next story. So we need to figure out, do we want to recognize any holidays or do we want to keep doing what we're doing?
Oh, like do themes?
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see.
We'll see.
Y'all go rate, review, and subscribe.
Yep. Follow us Instagram, Facebook. Those are the best places to follow us.
Yeah. We drank on some Trulies today. If you want to buy a round for next week, you can Venmo at Bloody Happy Hour.
Or Cash App.
Or Cash App.
Bloody Happy Hour.
$.
Bloody Happy Hour. Rate, review, subscribe.
Yeah. And don't forget to
stay aware.
Stay alive.
And always be DTF.
Just like
Mississippi
Police
Police
Department.
Department and the Moscow Police Department because they are DTF.
Bye, y'all.
Okay.
This has been a Rogue Media podcast.
Bros and foes and heroes. Gonna tell you about bros and foes and heroes. Gonna tell you about.
Hey, I'm Zach.
And I'm Mike.
And we have a fantastic new podcast to tell you about. Bros, Foes, and Heroes. It's the two of us looking into the world of comics, breaking down some characters that you may have never heard of, and some that are just absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, so Zach comes up with a character each time, and I go into it just completely blind. I don't know who this person is or what their abilities are or anything, and basically I guess we kind of go over their origin story and just some of the ridiculous stuff that maybe, especially Golden Age stuff.
Oh, Golden Age stuff is always the best, and we will make sure to highlight all of the shenanigans and just absolute weirdness of everything.
Yeah, that's right. So subscribe today and follow us on Instagram at Bros, Foes, Heroes.
And if you don't, I know where you live. Not really, but please subscribe.
Bros and foes and heroes. Gonna tell you about bros and foes and heroes. Gonna tell you about.
Welcome to One Star Rewind, a new podcast about those dreaded one-star reviews that every business owner hates to receive, but yet every customer loves to read. During this podcast, we will peel back that one-star review to better understand how it happened, when it happened, and what the business owner is doing after receiving that one-star review. This podcast will be about love, hate, and laughter. On One Star Rewind, we will meet with real business owners who will tell their stories and how they do rely on reviews for their business. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, or download us at roguemedianetwork.com. Please subscribe, but only rate and review for not a one-star review. Join us each time for a new review and a new story.